This is the new Zero DSR X. I'm at the Zero Motorcycles press launch right now, and we're gonna go out and give this thing a first ride. The DSR-X is the newest bike in Zero's lineup, and they're calling it an adventure bike, which you'll notice from their optional wire-spoked wheels, Trax ADV cases, rally tires, skid plate, and frame guards. The DSR-X is touting a 17.3 kilowatt-hour battery that can be upgraded to just shy of 21 kilowatt-hours. It's got 100 horsepower and 166 foot-pounds of torque. It's got a newer, bigger, and more adjustable Showa fork and shock. It's got an impressive 9.7 inches of ground clearance, a slew of custom ride modes, faster charging options, and the list goes on. We're testing their non-farkled version, so I don't get to comment on some of those add-ons quite yet, but I do get to take you on the first ride with this new DSR-X. So it's got the 17.3 kilowatt hour battery, which is impressive. Size, I believe the old DSR Black Forest was 14.4 if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, I am remembering correctly. The Zero DSR Black Forest Edition had a battery range of 157 miles in the city and 112 miles of combined city and highway. This bike is putting out a whopping 166 foot-pounds of torque, which is a lot of torque. And you can feel it for sure when you grab a handful. It goes. It boogies. 100 horsepower, 166 feet-pound of torque. Definitely a powerful machine. As if the DSR could get any quieter, I always thought it was a crazy quiet motorcycle back when I rode the original one, but this one is surprisingly even quieter. They're attributing that to a larger front sprocket, which I guess is putting less stress on the belt, therefore you're hearing less noise. At least that's what I'm told. And speaking of the belt, it is substantially bigger and stronger than the last DSR model, which you would think would make the bike louder, but it doesn't because of that front sprocket. The belt is 25 millimeters wide, whereas the old DSR was 17 millimeters wide. And they say it's also 2.6 times stronger than that original belt too. So that's got to give you some peace of mind for taking this bike off-road. We did 1,000 miles on the old DSR with the 17 millimeter belt, and we didn't break any belts the whole ride. We only broke one at the end when I decided to do a burnout, and that's when we snapped the belt. But it went through 1,000 miles of the Colorado BDR with no issues on two bikes. So knowing that it's stronger and wider, got to give you some confidence off-road. Another thing in that area of the bike that has been updated is that rear sprocket has, basically tapped holes all around so that it can clear mud and sand and whatever is getting scooped up by the belt. And that should help keep your belt clean and also reduce the risk of snapping that off-road. So another cool feature. This thing's a monster. So I'm in canyon mode right now. Let's talk about canyon mode a little bit. This is a new mode for the Zero bikes. The older modes, if I remember correctly, it was Eco, Standard, and Sport, and Custom. So now you have a bunch of custom modes. I think you have 5 extra custom modes, but you've got Eco, Rain, Standard, Sport, and this Canyon mode that I'm in. Canyon mode is, I believe, the same power output as standard mode, but it's got much stronger regen. So if you're, you know, coming into corners in a canyon like we're about to do up ahead of us, it gives you a bunch more engine braking or, you know, regen. And yeah, it seems pretty nice. Like, I was using it on the way out here, and I'm definitely using the brakes a lot less because of it. This thing scoots! So let's talk about some options on the Zero DSR X. You get, obviously, the big old honking 17.3 kilowatt hour battery, but you can expand upon that and do their power tank.
The power tank sits in the compartment where the gas tank would be on an internal combustion bike. Empty, that compartment has 7.4 gallons of capacity. If you add the power tank, you're able to increase the battery capacity to a total of 20.9 kilowatt hours and a claimed range of 220 miles. The power tank eats up about 70% of the available space in that compartment, so you're still looking at 30% of storage if you go with that power tank.
One thing to note with the power tank is that you are adding battery weight up top here, so it is going to affect the, you know, center of gravity or just weight of the bike a bit. It's going to feel probably a bit more top heavy as a result. So if you didn't want to do that, you could also do the charge tank.
Yeah, back in voiceover again. So the onboard charging option from Zero was formerly called the charge tank. Because the DSR-X now comes equipped standard with a J1772 plug for level 2 charging, their charge accessory is now called the Rapid Charger. The 2023 Rapid Charger will add 6 kilowatts of charging capabilities to the existing 6.6 kilowatts, totaling 12.6 kilowatts of charge capacity and decreasing the standard 95% capacity charge time from 2 hours down to 1 hour.
I've been giving a lot of numbers today, guys, so it's hard to remember all of them off the top of my head while I'm riding, so I have to voice some of that stuff over. But bottom line, man, you know, all the details and specs aside, like, if you've seen my other videos about the Zero DSR, like, it's just such a fun bike to ride. It's really quiet, really powerful, and that power comes on with, you know, the twist of a throttle. Like, you're not shifting through gears. It's instantaneous and abundant. I really, really enjoy riding this bike. And now that the bike has a lot more range, I mean, it's a huge benefit, because I felt the DSR was decent, you know, for the uses that I would use it for, but this makes it way better. I've been paying attention to the range where I started, what it's at now, and I'll reveal that towards the end. But so far what I've been seeing is impressive. They put the controller under the rear seat of the bike and try to put the motor and the battery lower in the bike, so you're getting lower center of gravity. It is a heavy bike. The weight is slipping my mind right now.
Right, the weight of the bike is 544 pounds.
Yeah! Oh man, this thing rips. That's fun. So we're off-road right now, clearly. I'm on a dirt road. This bike comes configured with some different options. Some big notable options really is that the DSR-X is now going to have spoked wheels with off-road Pirelli Scorpion tires, which look pretty sweet, but that's not the bike that I'm riding right now. I'm riding the option with the cast wheels and the street tires, so probably not the best test for off-road. We did air down to 30 PSI, but wheels and tires aside, it's pretty cool. The bike has all of the features for different ride modes that you can apply to the street, but you can also toggle through, and you can see right there on the display, it says off-road. So it changes the characteristics for engine braking, traction control, and ABS. So right now I've got ABS shut off. I've got traction control to more of a limited option, so I'm getting more rear tire spin, which is what you want off-road. You want to be able to kick the rear end out a little bit, so this off-road setting allows you to do that. And it also shuts off ABS, which is another thing that you want for off-road riding. So it's pretty awesome. Not only do you have a bunch of new options and custom modes for riding on the street, but you've also got options for off-road. And yeah, like, you can't see what just happened to me, but coming around that corner, gave it a little gas, rear end slid out on me, and I mean that in a good way. Like, it's did what I would want it to do. Suspension wise, it feels great. Like, this bike, I believe I need to get some specs.
I'll give you some specs right now. It's got a 47mm Showa fork with 7.4 inches of travel and full adjustability. The DSR-X also received a new, fully adjustable Showa shock that has a very convenient dial for adjusting preload. Handy if you're adding a pillion or filling up the optional Trax ADV cases.
I can already tell, compared to the DSR Black Forest editions that we rode on the backcountry discovery route, this suspension feels like a step above for sure. Also keeping an eye on the range here. So far, I'm pretty impressed with the range numbers that I'm seeing, but I'll save that for the end when I can have a final note on that. So on the last DSR, I do have a metric that I kind of came up with for calculating range. It seemed like with mixed riding, real world use, I was getting 1 mile per 1% of battery life. This is proving to be better. Like, not only are we riding, you know, I've done quite a few hard acceleration tests on this thing just because it's fun. It's the type of thing I wouldn't be probably doing if I were just out for a normal ride, so that is definitely not helping battery life, but I've gone 47 miles at this point, and I've got 73% battery. So in the calculations that I used to do on the old DSR, that would have been roughly 53%. So we're up 20% more capacity right now from what I was experiencing on the older DSR. Some real world numbers for you there.
So when it was all said and done, I had gone a total of 53 miles on mixed city, canyon, and dirt road riding, and I arrived back with 72% of battery life remaining. If you're interested in the DSR-X, it'll be available for a retail price of $24,495. From there, you'll be able to fully customize the bike with all the optional accessories that I previously mentioned and more.
So bottom line, this is a new exciting bike from Zero Motorcycles, the DSR-X. I am very pleased with it. First impressions, and it seems like they've really made some nice improvements to the bike. If you're watching this video, it probably means that you can purchase this bike or at least put a deposit down on it. I believe they're gonna make that available very soon, so if you're interested, check out more. I did an article for Revzilla, and there will be some more content on Electric Cycle Rider, but thank you to Zero Motorcycles for having me out, and thanks for watching, guys. See ya.